Hey there, today I'm going to compare two of my favorite watches, Omega Railmaster on my left and Omega Ranchero on my right. They are very similar in the dial, kind of what would be considered maybe an Explorer dial, but very different in what they feel like on the wrist. The Railmaster is in 2017 reissue as part of the 1957 60th anniversary trilogy versus the Ranchero, which is an original 1958 2990. The only thing that makes it non-original is I've got it on an Uncle Seiko bracelet. The original bracelets tend to be pretty stretched out, and so I prefer the feel of an Uncle Seiko. They work very well and they have the original proportions. The difference in weight is probably the biggest one. That's what we'll start with here. The Railmaster, you can see here, is 138 grams versus the Ranchero, which is a very slimmed down 73 grams. And that's the biggest difference as far as what it feels like on the wrist. So with the Railmaster, you've got a 38 millimeter diameter, you've got a 13 millimeter thickness, 48 millimeter lug to lug, 19 millimeter lug width, and you have a non-tapering bracelet, which does add a lot of heft. My 6 3/4 inch wrist barely can pull off wearing the Railmaster. With the Ranchero, you've got a 36 millimeter case diameter, you've got a 44 millimeter lug width, or a lug to lug, and an 18 millimeter lug width. And like I said, in this case, we've got a tapering bracelet, and we've got a much more slender fit. And for my wrist, it just seems to be a little bit better fit for me. I like that vintage look. The case slimness on the Ranchero comes from the fact that it's a manual wind 267 movement, and so if manual wind isn't for you, then may not be an option for you. But I have recently really started to prefer manual wind because of that slimness, and believe me, they could be just as accurate after service, and and perpetually that way for a while, compared to a well-serviced automatic movement. This is inside of this watch. We've got the remarkable 8806 caliber Omega Master chronometer movement, which is basically amagnetic. It can withstand 15,000 Gauss. Of course, it's automatic, but there is no screw-down case or screw-down crown. So I think the reason that Omega did that is they wanted this to feel just like an original Railmaster CK2990, which was also manual wind, so they didn't want you to have to unwind and unscrew a crown before winding it. So this feels much like an original. It has 60 millimeters of water resistance, and it does have the hippocampus solid back instead of any like a lot of the newer Omega offerings have a sapphire exhibition case back. So yeah, the biggest difference I would say is thickness. As far as the Railmaster, there's a couple of design components that I wish they would have changed. The main one is the heft of the bracelet. I wish they would have gone with a tapered bracelet, and I have put this on an Uncle Seiko 19 millimeter bracelet, and it felt pretty great. I do like the fact that the center links are brushed, and the side links at least were highly polished. I do wish that they would have had this border on the clasp that the originals did have. Although I do like the overhanging Omega logo. It is reminiscent of the original bracelet that would have come on this watch, the 7077. The Railmaster's bracelet also has a very comfortable twin button pushing clasp, and it also has a 3-position adjustable clasp there, although I do find that the 3mm increment is just a little bit too much to make really comfortable changes. It's either too much or too little. Other thing I don't care for is with the black field color of the dial. I wish that they would have, it's more of a charcoal gray versus just a standard flat black. They're trying to have what they call a tropical dial, so that's got a little bit of fading to it. Although the problem with that is from certain angles, the highly polished hands will kind of disappear right into that same color, and it makes it a little bit harder to read with aging eyes when you have to wear, especially if you're trying to avoid having to wear your readers. Versus the flat black and slightly corroded hands of the vintage piece, you're having that phenomenon of disappearing hands a lot less and a lot fewer angles. That is basically it. These are both very great alternatives to an Explorer, a Rolex Explorer. Perhaps the Ranchero would be competing with the Explorer 1016, and the more modern, more robust Railmaster competing with either a 21 4270 or any of the other modern Explorers. Anyway, that's my video. Thanks so much. Good luck.